Hello everyone, my name is Bernadette Rutina of Human Ingredient. I'm really pleased to be here today to take you through your first session in the Communication and Conflict series. I'm imagining that a number of you, when you think about some of the challenges in your workplace, find that the area of how you communicate, what you communicate, how others understand you and you understand each other are really crucial factors in you getting good business outcomes and good performance. So in this series, we'll be looking at impactful communication, understanding triggers and reactions, and how these influence what we do with conflict. And the last in this 3 series is around conflict resolution tips and strategies. So our first session today is on impactful communication. Some of you might know this already, but it's estimated that about 15% of your business success comes from skills and knowledge, whilst 85% comes from your ability to connect with people and gain their trust and respect. So you would know that this is so important when you are working with people to gain trust and respect, to gain that in your workplace as well as with your clients. I'm going to take you through now what is impactful communication. I'd like you, because there'll be a workbook that you can refer to as you go through this series, I'd like you to be taking notes. I'd like you to be thinking about what does this mean for me? So impactful communication is about you creating a common language, knowing your audience, being able to actively listen. Now you've probably heard a lot of these words before, but really actively listening is one of those things that's so intangible for us that we've read about it, but quite often as human beings in our everyday life, we frequently forget to do it. We might be thinking more about what we're doing ourselves. Impactful communication, it's more or less involving everybody present, making sure that those people who say you're having a team meeting, you're having an interaction with someone and you're making decisions, you want to be thinking about how those decisions and how your conversation is impacting not only those people in front of you, but those people around you. So it's much more impactful and you will have more influence if you are able to think systemically, if you are able to think more across your organisation or different organisations. Who are your key clients? Do you have stakeholders that you need to be taking into account in the conversation that you're having? Ensure your communication is meaningful and connects to people. So that means it's not just you thinking about you and what's important to you, but it's also about how it fits into the people that you're communicating with, their world, how they see things. Ensure your communication is conducted in a way which matches the context that you're in, not just your own. I'm often working with organisations where a whole big division in a big organisation is doing extremely well, but they get feedback from their internal clients saying, well, you're making decisions without us. This doesn't match the direction of some of the organisation. It matches what you're needing to do, but really we have to work together. So it's working towards mutual outcomes and providing opportunities for having a really good discussion. So many of us move away from what you see on the slide here I call constructive dissent. We often might move away from that, or our way of managing dissent might be to bash heads. It could be to close some people down. But many of you will also know that the best decisions are made where you draw people out. So this increases knowledge, it increases ownership and enables any future actions and decisions that you are undertaking to be fully informed. Now, when do you want to be impactful? Well, You'd know that there are many times with your own teams that you need to get buy-in. You are shifting in your current climate. I'm imagining in the last year there'd be some quite significant changes that have, you've had to undertake in your own organisation, and you've had to get buy-in. You've had to build trust with people. You might have had to negotiate brand new ways of working, negotiate new products, new services, and that requires you to problem solve, get together with other people, and really come up with the best ideas. You want to be impactful when you are coaching people on the job, or if you're someone who coaches people outside your work and you have a business in coaching, you want to be able to have an impact. You want to be able to also at times confront what isn't working and do that in such a way that people can take it in, that they can start to understand, and that you reduce defensiveness. Delegating is crucial. I come across so many leaders in the work that I'm doing with coaching executives and senior managers where they are so good at their job and they love what they're doing that frequently they might be not thinking about delegating, not thinking about training up the people below them, or they delegate without sufficient information. So, if you have new staff, they will obviously need much more information, much more of a step-step process in terms of delegating, especially if they've got less experience. And when you're motivating people, that is also another key area for you to have impact. But one thing we often forget in terms of being impactful, we need to have a relationship with a person that is a positive relationship. And if we miss out on having that positive relationship, or we haven't started well, or we've not sorted out some past issues, our impact will be much less. So keep that in mind, because these whole series are really about you building your relational skills, building your skills to influence others, to have the right impact for the right thing in your workplace, the right outcomes that you're after. Everyone would know that self-awareness is key to good communication. And if you are unaware of what's going on in you and you are just responding, or even, unfortunately, we all do this, we might react to something, then our impact might be one that is more negative than positive. So monitoring ourselves, understanding what is happening inside our own states, how we manage our emotions, if we react to something, knowing what to do, noticing other people's reactions, noticing how they are going, finding ways to shift your own ways of communicating to settle others down. That doesn't mean you do anything like, now let's calm down, because you'd all know if you say let's calm down, lots of people don't calm down. So having ways to breathe, settle, nod, move your body if necessarily, if you're feeling tense and you're feeling stuck, say in a meeting, and you're quite aware of what's going on in you, but you're struggling to shift that, shift what you're doing, even shift in your chair, write something, nod, engage with people, and then you'll find you can settle yourself down. The last point we have here is establish a method for truth-telling early. Now this would be in part of your agreements in teams, your agreements with others, and you might say very early on in your interactions with people, it'd be great if we could all hear what we really want to say, and do that in a good, respectful and constructive way. And especially if you know that there's a potential for some issues to pop up. You know that if you are open and you're encouraging people to be honest, but not destructive in their honesty, constructive in their honesty, that this is a sound basis for having good communication. You probably may have seen this one before. Listening is crucial to good communication. If you are really listening completely and attentively to someone, you are picking up much more than just the words. You are picking up what's going on in that person's face, what's going on in their tone. And because as human beings, we have a wonderful, wonderful skill that's been developed in our evolution of being able to make sense of what is in front of us and start to anticipate what that might be. Now, as long as we're feeling easy in ourselves and we're listening well to someone else and tuning into their world, we can see they're happy, they're not so happy, they may be slightly worried, and we can adjust ourselves to work with them and be truly in tune with them. So we get the whole message of what's being conveyed, not just the words. In our everyday lives, in our businesses, we're frequently moving at such a pace, we don't stop to listen properly. But if we truly listen to people, it may shortcut a whole lot of other conversations that we need to have to check, follow up. It may be we're truly listening at the beginning and we're seeking to understand what that person's saying so that when we need to make a decision, when we need to ask for their input, we keep that in mind. We know where they're coming from. So good listening is also part of being impactful with your communication. This is, we've moved on now to a great little acronym, the LACE model. So this is listen, acknowledge, check, and inquire. This particular way of listening, building on our last slide and our last bit of information about what does it mean to listen fully, this is giving you some direct information and skilling about how to do this. And you could try this with your family at home. See if you can allow someone else to speak for 2 minutes, and you don't have to tell them this, but it might be your child, it might be your partner, it might be another family member, where you say to yourself, I am going to really listen to them and really tune in. So you might go, I'm going to time this. And maybe they're going to chat for 5 minutes, but see if you can do 2 minutes where they're talking and you're nodding and you're listening, and you may not ask any questions. You may acknowledge, wow, that was a big day. You've had a lot on. And you keep acknowledging. This is part of your really good listening skills. Now start to notice as you're listening to your family members, to friends, to your children, what is it they're really saying? Is there something else that's sitting behind that? Because as human beings, we don't have access to sometimes what's going on behind our words. We want to say something and then we might discover as we say it what else is happening for us. So after you've done the good listening, you might check your understanding of what's happening with the person. So if it's your partner and they've talked about a tough day at work, you can then be very interested in what happened. You know, as long as they're very happy to talk to you and they feel good with you at the time, you might say, wow, so, you know, when this and this and this happened at work, you know, you must have been up to here. A very full day. And most often, very simple little things like that will continue the flow of conversation. You're in tune with them. They will experience you having good rapport, showing great interest in them. And then if there are aspects of what's being said that you don't understand, you can ask. But ask in an open and respectful way. You can do this at home, you can do this at work. And you probably do it naturally with the people that you're closest to. One of the things that happens with listening quite often is that we're in our own minds and we're thinking about our own experience of similar things, or we're thinking about what we might say next. And if we're thinking about that, we're not truly listening to the other person. Now, you know that when you're in communication with other people, there are multiple things that are part of that context. While you are listening to a person, it's very useful in that listening and in that focus to bring to mind, what does this mean for this person? If you're listening to a colleague at work and they're talking about a project that they're struggling with, or a piece of work that they'd really like to get done, start to think to yourself, without taking your attention away from them, oh, this is really important to them. They value hard work. They value quality in their work. They value doing things on time. And you might even think to yourself, how can I assist them? So bringing to mind people's values, their beliefs, their personality. And their personality might be very different to yours. So those of you who've done work on personality assessment and looking at differences in personality will know some people are much more expressive and they want to bounce ideas off others, and they sometimes don't even know their ideas until they start to say them. And then, of course, you might be a person who likes to think through things first and then you express them, or you might be somewhere in between. But quite often these differences are very obvious in a workplace, and they may be a cause of irritation or frustration. I had a wonderful colleague many years ago. She started to work with me, and it was in a government department back in the mid-90s. And she and I were at a similar level, and she'd moved from another area and came to work with me. And she said to me, "It's great, I'm coming to work with you. I want to bounce ideas off you. You know, we need to discuss our strategy." We were doing culture change for the organisation at the time. And her way of starting to know what she thought was to say everything out loud. My way was more like, I would think about it, I would read about it, and then discuss it. So we had this wonderful communication at different times where she would just pop into my desk and say, blah, 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 I've got this idea. I think we should talk to these managers. We've got to get those leaders together. And I'd say, hold it, Sue, just pause. I've got to finish. I need to finish what I'm doing. And she'd say, but I'm an extrovert. I need to tell you. And so we'd have a laugh, and I'd say, all right, I'll give you 5 minutes now, or we can do a good hour later. We can brainstorm. What would you like to do? And she would always choose the longer time because that would also work well for her. And we came to an agreement about this. So one of the things I had to do was stop myself feeling a bit like, oh, she's interrupting me again. Instead of that, I shifted my thinking. I thought about her personality. I thought about her and how we could work well together. And I thought, what is going to keep her motivated? Because she's just come to our team. She's very enthusiastic. I don't want to dampen her spirits here at all. And I want to work with her in a good way. So by keeping that in mind, I was able to come up with something that matched for both of us. Her motivation to develop new ideas was high, and we really needed that in our team. She was a great addition to our group at the time. Now, we're going to move on and look in depth more at some real tools and processes in communication. Some people, you might have heard about the term or the process of perceptual positions in communication, or it may be a brand new idea for others. This comes out of neuro-linguistic programming. So neuro, our brain, linguistic, our language and programming. But it's not that limited. It's actually about our tone, our manner, our voice, our choice of words, how we communicate, the context, the listening, all that I have covered with you, and being able to thoughtfully, before you go into an interaction, or even while you're there sitting in a meeting, think, where do I need to put my attention and my focus right now? Do I need to put my attention and my focus on myself, my thoughts, my feelings, my ideas? Should I be really tuning in to some of my team members? My team members might be thinking, oh, where is this meeting going? How are we going to get to the areas that I'm interested in? How do I shift my focus from my ideas and my thoughts and my feelings to theirs and take that into account? Do I need to be the fly on the wall in the meeting and looking at how we're all going? This is our third perceptual position. So the words that we say and how we say them are based on our perception. And our perception is really influenced by our focus. So if my focus is on me, I will be perceiving me and everything in relation to me. If I am focused on another person, then I will be perceiving their world, how they're going, and I will be switching off what's going on in me and paying attention to them. If I'm looking at the whole meeting, where we're heading, what we're doing, where we need to go, then I will be able to be much more objective, and my language will then be reflective of that. So if I'm perceiving the whole group, the whole meeting, the whole team, I might be thinking, well, oh, you know, John's doing really well today. He's excited about that project, but Mary's a bit worried about where she's going. There's a client that we're all struggling with. So I'm now in fourth position, moving into the outside, the larger system. How are our clients working with us? How are we going with them? And my movement between myself and another individual or several individuals in the team or in the meeting, they could be colleagues or my own manager, and how are we going as a group and how do we fit into the larger system? This conscious movement in our perception and in our attention is crucial for us to be able to have a good impact. Quite often, as human beings, we're used to being in first position, which is focused on ourselves and our own ideas, and that's wonderful as long as that's not the only thing we do. We need to build our flexibility to shift quite quickly, to move from our ideas, to move into what's happening with others, where are they focused, what's happening with the group, where is our meeting heading, and how does what we're doing, our work right now, fit into the larger organisation, fit into what we are trying to achieve over time. Now you can see here I've got a continuum, and you can easily see that it's possible to move from first position through to second, third and fourth. Now, if you bring to mind the times in your life where you've been totally focused on yourself. Now, you could be totally focused on yourself where something wonderful has happened to you. So if you think about, I'll draw a little stick figure here. In the lives of human beings, we have a lot of things going on. And now these things that go on in our lives, we juggle every day. Sometimes, though, the things that happen in our lives take over us so fully that we are in deep first perceptual position. Now, this could be there's been a major crisis in our lives. So therefore, we're not going to be so happy, we're going to feel sad, and we will feel the impact of that crisis. Or the crisis might mean we feel stressed. When we feel stressed and when we feel high pressure, then our our physical being, our brains, they are all affected by this. Frequently our thinking is fuzzy. Frequently we find that we might be worried, anxious, and it's very hard to get ourselves out of that. When we are in any of these states, and you can see they're listed there on the slide, sad, worried, anxious, angry, frustrated, these are the more emotions that might overwhelm us. We are then most often stuck in first position, and we need somebody who can be in second perceptual position to tune into us. And hopefully we have friends, family, good colleagues who are able to step in our world and assist and support us at those difficult times. It's unusual, but deep first position can also be totally focused on yourself and being very happy. I remember an example from many years ago when I was running a leadership program, and there was a young woman who said, I can remember my first house. And she must have been in her late 20s at the time, and she'd bought her first house about 2 years earlier. She said, I saved for it. It was so exciting when I got my new house, and I just started to move into my new place, and my closest friend's mum passed away. And I went to the funeral, and I was feeling sad for my friend, and I wanted to support her. But I also noticed in myself that when I ran into other friends at the funeral, all I could talk about was my new house. I was so excited about my new house that it became my focus. And about halfway through my conversations with others after the funeral, I thought to myself, you are so focused on yourself, it's really not your day. You have a new house, that's fantastic, but now's not the day to be talking about it. So I pulled myself up and I shifted, and I became more in tune with my good friend and supported her. And as this young girl told us about this, there were many other examples of people feeling very happy when they won an award, people feeling very happy when they were given a fantastic project at work that they were so excited about, they thought everyone else should be excited about that project too. And so if we're totally focused on ourselves, our ability in deep first to tune into other people is very, very limited. Unless we can shift ourselves along that continuum and start to be much more flexible. So if we are tuning into others, that means that we are much more able to shift from our own thoughts, shift and think, this would be wonderful to hear from Jane. She doesn't say a lot. Let's encourage her opinions on this decision. And noticing the minute movements of what's happening in someone else's face, how they sit in their chair, how they write, are they fiddling with their pen? Is there attention with others or is there attention elsewhere? And you can do this by moving between third position, the fly on the wall, noticing, move back to second, making some assessments and creating some ideas, but holding these lightly, not thinking you know everything, and then checking it out. So a way that you might check out with a person could be something like, well, John, the other day when you were working on that project, you had some fantastic ideas. You might be thinking that these could be included in our discussion now. Now, John might go, oh, I hadn't thought of it, but yes, let's do that. Or he might go, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. And you've created a way to bring that person in and get them much more open in their discussion. I work with some teams where there's a pattern in the meetings where some people speak and some people don't speak, and for efficiency purposes, they don't draw everyone out. Now, you might have these experiences yourself. You might be in those meetings where you're not leading them, or at times you might be leading them and thinking, we need to move on. Now, this means you will frequently have to go back to people later, check in with them, find out their thoughts. If you can create your environment in your team meetings where what you say and others say has an impact, and it's shared, and you check out each other's meaning, you start to think about, well, what does that mean for our work? And you have those discussions. It might mean that your gatherings together as a team are a little longer, but it will save you a lot of time later. So have a think about that. There will be tools in the workbook that you can have a look at. We will keep going with the work on perceptual positions and really focus in on second perceptual position. So before, when I was talking about it, I was highlighting for you that you needed to, when you move into second, you are really putting aside your own thinking and really focusing on the other. And a good way to do that is to do that 2-minute listening exercise, stopping your thinking, tuning into the other. So this means you'll notice a person's tone, their pace, and you might nod and also be reflecting back to a person something of what they've said. You might check out your understanding, add some meaning, paraphrase, summarise, test your assumptions as you go. Part of second position is also challenging what you've heard. And it might be you hear somebody say something that maybe you know doesn't work for the team, and you might repeat that back to them, not in a judging way, but an inquiry. Before I've heard many leaders say to some team members, well, you've told me that you can't work at all with Terry. And you've sort of decided that's the end of it. And the person who said they can't work with Terry, they're going, yes, that's true, I've decided I can't. And then another second position statement back to the person might be something like, well, have you ever had a time where you've worked with Terry? Have there been moments in the past where you could work? So you are challenging, you are testing assumptions, but you're not judging. And your own tone and your own manner is one of respect and inquiry and building a way forward rather than just accepting that this is an impossible task. At times you might need to gently confront people. Some people, of course, confrontation is very frightening for them, so you're going to be thoughtful about how you do that. Others don't mind confrontation. So if they're quite sharp, direct with their language and tone with you, you might be direct back with them. Not negative, but direct. Checking something out. Quicken your pace and move with where they're going. And they will start to feel like you are on the same page as them, as long as you aren't doing things that sound like you're mimicking them, because second perceptual position actually doesn't work if you're using it to manipulate someone. It only works if you are authentic, you are really clear, and you are ethical about the way that you are working with another person. When you are applying second perceptual position and you are tuning into another person, a lot of the acknowledging phrases you'll see here. And then you can start to check things out. If someone tells you they feel like they have a lot on their plate and people are making decisions without them, you can say, well, you feel a bit stuck right now. There's too many things going on. You'd really like to get a handle on it and move it forward. So what's happening? And rather than giving solutions, second perceptual position with good acknowledging, with good reflection, with good tuning in, and then some questions will often provide a space for the other person to come up with their own solutions, rather than you being the person who has to be giving the answer. Now, this is referring back to our work on ourselves. We've been talking about second perceptual position and your awareness of others and your tuning into others, but right now this focus is on you being aware and being in first position, but being able to notice what is going on in yourself and to be able to understand, accept, and use what's happening in your own mind, to use your good ideas, to use your ability to tune into other people. I often come across leaders who are very frustrated with their meetings. And when I say to them, what are you focused on when you go into a meeting? They say, oh, I can't get out of my mind that last meeting or the last 3 meetings we've had. They've gone nowhere. And that's what they're warmed up to. You see the term here, warm up? Many of you will know that warm up comes out of the world of sport, it comes out of the world of theatre and music. Musicians warm up before a concert, singers warm up before they go on stage, actors warm up, runners warm up, swimmers warm up. Part of the warm up, and if you were thinking about an elite athlete, their warm up will be their motivation. They will be warming up themselves and their vision for themselves in that race, and they'll also be warming up their body. Now, if you are, in first perceptual position, but you are focused on negative things about what's going to happen in your meeting, then your warm-up will actually detract. It will take away from your impact. It will not serve you well. If you are conscious of your warm-up, you can shift it. You can say, just worked out, I'm focused on that last meeting. This is a new meeting. I can do something differently. I'm going to change my warm-up. I'm going to focus on what we can achieve. I'm going to pay attention to the people in the room. I'm going to focus on where are we heading, getting some good outcomes. And if we don't get everything done, we're going to follow up with them. So you can create your own warm-up, plan your own warm-up, get to know how you feel, what you're thinking, what you're hoping for, what your expectations are. Make them conscious. This is you taking charge of you being in first perceptual position and not allowing old thoughts, old feelings, old habits take over. So there'll be an exercise for you in the workbook, and it would be great if you could work out after a meeting what happened, what were you thinking of, what was happening with your warm-up. Simple things to do in meetings. Now, this is a way to create a positive warm-up for everybody in the meeting. Some of you may be familiar with the phrase a check-in in meetings. You don't have to call it that. You can put a process in place at the start of a meeting where you simply say, all right, let's hear from everyone at the meeting about briefly how you're going right now and what you're hoping for from the meeting. This gets everybody warmed up to the present. And it's not a case of some people can do it, some people don't have to. You hear from everyone. You, in meetings, going to assume that if people are badly behaved about something or you perceive they're badly behaved, that there is a reason behind that. And it's a good way for you not to get caught in what's happening, but to start to inquire. What's happening? How are they going? Why is this important? You might even say, well, we need a few minutes to discuss this because it's obviously complex. People have different feelings about it. Let's really, really listen and find out what's happening so we can progress. You might have some processes that you've put in place to allow people to have more of an expression. If you've got a large group, put some simple things in place, paired discussions, or break people into groups of 3 or 4, get them to come up with ideas or to explore a problem and to come up with answers, and then hear back. And then you know that you've had given really everyone an opportunity to speak. When you make decisions, and some of those decisions might be ones that you have really, they're a given. So if you're making decisions and they're a given, you let people know this is a given, but you do provide an opportunity for people to ask questions, to talk about it, and maybe they've got ideas about how these decisions can be implemented. And then that will give the buy-in. If you are looking for feedback and seeking common agreement, you know the decisions are going to be implemented much more effectively than if you've only got half the group on board with you. When decisions are made very quickly, and I'm sometimes brought into senior executive meetings where it's very quick, and I notice that decisions just get made, bang, 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 and sometimes people are going, oh, I wonder what that decision means. And they find out later that people have assumed completely incorrectly what the decision is about. So knowing what's the scope of the decision, what's the potential impact of that decision, do we need to talk about this decision further to make sure we all understand and we're on the same page. So quick decisions are great with simple decisions that have little impact, but complex decisions, of course, there needs to be time unless you've done a lot of work in the lead up to that. And once again, asking quiet members to put forward what they think and how they see the world is very, very important. Now, as we're coming to the end of our session, I'd like you to be thinking about making notes. What are you more aware of in yourself? What are you going to start doing and applying in your workplace or even in your family? What are you going to model as a leader in your organisation? Now, you may not be a senior person in your organisation, but if you're leading a project, you are leading the way with your clients, you are leading a team, you are a leader no matter where you are. And what you model will show to others what you think is important in your communication and in your interactions. What are some of the goals that you could set for yourself? And how will you know you're achieving them? Who will you check in with? Who at work can you sit down with? Your manager, or it might be a good colleague, or you may have a mentor. Who can you sit with and go, I'm going to improve my communication in these contexts with these people, and this is what I'm going to try, and I'm going to check in with you each time. Maybe it's monthly, maybe it's fortnightly if you're able to. And you're going to get a process put in place for yourself to get feedback. All right, we're going to finish this session on impactful communication, and I look forward to working with you on understanding triggers and conflict.